Truth.Today. And now your host, Rob Brown.
Hi, folks. Welcome to this edition of the Daily Truth. We are coming to you today with a continuation with my guest, Dane Wigington, and we are going to be talking about the California drought. My guest, Dane, lives out in California. He actually lives in Shasta County, California, and we're going to talk about this drought, and we're going to bring in a video of a conference that Dane gave, and it's going to discuss the details and the facts of the drought that we believe, and Dane's going to bring this out, that this drought could be man-made. Dane, welcome to the show, and I thank you for your time again. Can you hear me there, Dane?
Very good, Rob.
Okay.
Thanks again for addressing this issue, and we'll try to shine a little more light on it.
Yeah. Briefly, I just want to let the folks know that on our first show that we did, we talked with you about geoengineering, climate engineering, and we brought out different issues and facts that, that this is being done above us and that it is a secret program and it's being done worldwide. And Dane, I just want to ask you, you live there in California, and I have some details and knowledge about the drought in California, but give me your take on what's going on with California.
In regard to the drought here, which is not 4 years long, it's 8 years long now. And of course, they try to downplay that to some degree, but there's no question that the primary factor, this is not to deny the fact that there's a lot of anthropogenic damage to the climate. The planet is warming. It's not to deny any of that, but it's to say that in this particular case, we know that the aerosolization of the atmosphere, which we can see on satellite imagery off the U.S. California coast, we know the effect. There's peer-reviewed study on the effect. When they're blanket spraying these aerosols in the storm track, and the aerosols also are subject to radio frequency transmissions from ground-based facilities like HARP, of which there are several dozen large ground-based facilities around the globe. We know what that does to the moisture migration, and it's a cause of. So the climate engineering is absolutely directly connected to the lack of precipitation in California, as well as a number of other, many other regions around the globe, Rob.
Right. You had off the air, I know that you were telling me about some of the details and the facts within the government there at Shasta, and you had made a presentation actually to the Shasta County government. How did that go for you when you did that presentation to Shasta?
Well, again, we had the greatest attendance of citizenry at that meeting. It's a modern facility, a large facility, the greatest attendance on any issue ever presented in that facility's history for this issue. So citizens are indeed concerned. We have officials from the bottom line, the county officials all the way up the chain of government that simply exist to toe the line for the power structure. They don't care about the concerns of the citizens, and they've made that clear. But they've created liability for themselves. They presented with credible, inarguable lab testing data that proves contamination that their citizens are being exposed to, and they've done nothing. So they have completely shirked their mandated responsibility to disclose this threat to the public, and we'll see how this all plays out as the public becomes aware.
Now, Dane, did you present to them the details of the tests that were done? I know that there were many witnesses at that meeting. I know that you had various professionals come and give expert testimony about the various levels of aluminum and barium and different heavy metal toxic substances that were found in the air, the water, and the soil. What actually was presented to them?
And they were presented with copies of tests from the state certified lab, many copies. So yes, they were given tangible, irrefutable evidence, and also told that and informed of the fact that we have a very lethal ultraviolet radiation issue that's not being disclosed, that we can prove at any point in time because we have the metering to prove it, and they have not allowed us to present that demonstration. So these people exist simply for their own purposes and to hide whatever they're told to hide. And that's just the fact of the matter.
Well, Dane,
This is typically across the board with almost all of these type of local, quote-unquote, elected officials or their appointees. They exist for their own ends, that's all.
right. Now, you also made a presentation, I understand, to Governor Jerry Brown and his office. What happened there?
Not Jerry Brown, but
I'm
Gavin
sorry.
Newsom, the lieutenant governor.
Lieutenant Governor, right.
And in Gavin's office in the Capitol in Sacramento and his aides, and there's no question that they could not refute the data. They did not refute the data. History speaks for itself, and they do nothing because that's what they're paid to do, nothing, to ignore these issues. The same kind of people always end up in all these positions because nobody with any assertiveness is allowed to progress up the ladder. They are not allowed. That's how the system is designed. We look at even the university systems and the type of training that goes on there to prepare people for these sorts of posts with credentials that are basically certificates of indoctrination. That's all they are. So the whole system is a cancerous mechanism of deception right now, and that will lead to all of our demise very shortly if we don't change course and if the population does not wake up and hold these people to account.
Yeah, I just can't believe that if, human beings are behind this, they're exposing themselves to these toxic substances. I just can't believe that there are not enough whistleblowers. Why is that, Dane? Why is that?
Well, one, as we discussed off air, let's look at the whistleblower for the torture that the U.S. is engaged in. And what kind of a nation that pretends to stand on the values that this nation pretends to stand on turns two blind eyes toward torturing people, period. It should not be done. But the whistleblower on the torture programs was the only one to be put in jail by our government. So why would anybody be jumping to blow the whistle on this issue? And on the climate engineering issue, we know the consequences for blowing the whistle are much more severe. In fact, as I mentioned off air, I know former Air Force personnel that are communicating with other Air Force personnel that have made it clear that they signed agreements of non-disclosure regarding their involvement with these provisions for lethal enforcement. We all know what that means. So, of course, we don't have whistleblowers. Everyone knows they're being monitored, and they're not just afraid for themselves, but their families. We have a country that's run by a criminal cabal, as most countries are. So we don't have a country with a government. We have a government that believes that they can do whatever they want.
Well, Dane, I have to I have to shake my head. This is just bizarre. It really is bizarre. And we're going to take a momentary break here. And when we come back, we're going to bring a video of what you did out there in Shasta when you made that presentation in California. So we'll be right back, Dane.
For independent living for seniors age 62 and over, People Inc. offers safe, maintenance-free apartments across Western New York. The affordable rent is income-based. For more information, call People Inc. Senior Living at 817-9090.
Looking for a cooking oil with a light flavor and reduced absorption so food preserves its natural flavor? One with a high smoke point for stir-frying, sautéing, grilling, and baking? Then choose all-natural Pompeian 100% grapeseed oil, imported from France. Grapes have been a key ingredient of the healthy Mediterranean diet for years. Pompeian 100% grapeseed oil is the chef's choice for high-heat cooking, grilling, stir-frying, sautéing, or even deep frying. And Pompeian 100% grapeseed oil is great for baking too, because its delicate taste does not overwhelm the flavor of cakes, cookies, and other favorite recipes. A key traditional ingredient of the Mediterranean, grapeseed oil is a rich source of vitamin E antioxidant and naturally gluten-free. Buy imported Pompeian 100% grapeseed oil today and find great recipes at Pompeian.com.
Wait, don't let this happen to you. At Jan Fence, we're family owned and operated for over 50 years, providing a wide choice of fencing. Why wait online at the big box store? Just call Jan Fence. Ask about our Easy Fence to Go products by Active Yards, the first truly do-it-yourself fence product.
At Jan Fence, we always do what we say. Come see us today.
Step into an extraordinary world that will excite your senses. Experience our delectable Mughlai cuisine and the magic of tandoori savoir-faire. Let our international award-winning team delight you with a taste of heaven. Enjoy our mouth-watering flavors and our unique flair for excellence. Savor the elegance of fine dining and catering. Shazam Restaurant. Indulge your taste buds.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sidney Cohen. I'm a psychologist in New Jersey. I'm the host of a show called Heading in the Right Direction, which will be appearing on internet TV station Radio Vision Network. It's a show that's going to cover a wide range of psychological subjects. I think you'll be very interested in the subjects. I'm also going to have the opportunity to send me emails, ask me some questions. I'll answer questions, and I very much look forward to you tuning in. I'm very excited to do this. Thank you.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
And we're back with Dane Wigington from geoengineeringwatch.org. Dane, let's set up this video that we're going to see here momentarily. This was a presentation that you made. How many years ago was this presentation? Dane, are you there?
Okay. Yeah, I lost audio for a second.
I'm sorry. I apologize. We are Skyping.
This video was done about a year and a half ago, and again, everything presented in the video is exactly what has unfolded. And based on the data we have and the science that goes with it, if the aerosol programs continued, and they have, the scenario that unfolded had to happen. So it's a 2 + 2 = 4 equation.
Right. So in other words, every prediction that you made basically has come to pass, and nothing really is let up. I mean, tell me, they're still spraying, obviously, off the coast of California. What's going on out there?
It's nonstop. It's nonstop. So again, there's many agendas being played out, but the bottom line is, with the application of the aerosols in the atmosphere and the radio frequency transmissions that are used as part of moving those aerosols around, the overall effect is continued protracted drought for the U.S. West. Same thing we see along the east coast of South America. We're seeing the same thing in India right now. You cannot do what they are doing. You cannot play God with the weather without having extremely adverse effects. They're going to magnify. If they continue, again, the cost will be total, not just to humanity, but to life on Earth.
Right. Okay, so we're going to go to this video, and after the video, I have a few questions I really want to ask you where we're going to go with confronting this issue with the government. So right now, here's the video of Dane Wigington in his presentation at the Shasta County government.
When we have, this is from MIT, this diagram is from MIT, where you clearly see an aircraft spraying particulates out the back. Now, again, this is mainstream scientific discussion. We have every major science institution talking about these issues right now, that these programs must be implemented. And so again, what we ask is that this issue be given attention. And our point here today, irregardless of where the contamination is coming from over Shasta County and the rest of the globe, we ask that the science be looked at and that the legitimacy of this issue be acknowledged with the science terms, that this is brought to public attention and brought into a public dialogue.
Okay, Dane, welcome back. So listen, I want to ask you, when you made your presentation to the state government there in California, you presented with them these details that we just watched in that video, the weather maps and everything. I mean, the details were so great. And I can't fathom that they would turn a blind eye or a blind ear to what you presented to them.
Well, that's what they're paid to do. And again, we live in a society, Rob, where it's not just the elected officials turn two blind eyes to any atrocity if that's what it takes in their mind to keep their party going a bit longer. When we look at something as glaringly obvious as the spraying that's occurring in our skies, it doesn't take a high-level intellect to figure out something's going on if people simply were willing to face the truth. You can't have grid patterns one day and nothing the next without something very radical going on that's different on these days. We have film footage of these crimes happening in the sky. We have anybody who watches even from the ground can see these trails being turned on and off. You can't have atmospheric differences like that. If people knew, if they did any research at all, they would understand the higher you go, the less humidity there is. So we shouldn't see this in our skies. This is simply a lie, the condensation trail lie that's been propagated by the government for decades and accepted by the population because it's easier to stay in the herd if you don't challenge the narrative of those in power. So the bottom line is people are staying in denial at the expense of any future whatsoever, not just for their children, but for themselves. This is how immediate our horizon is. We are facing a planet that is changing by the day, will never be the same in anything that matters. And quite simply, if we stay on this track, we face near-term total extinction on planet Earth. This is a mathematical certainty if we stay on this course.
Well, I got to tell you, I know that there is an awakening that's going on all over the world right now. I don't know if you're familiar, but in Honduras, in like Italy, they just had these tremendous marches there at their capital, at the capital in those countries. And literally 30, 60, 80,000 people showed up in front of these capitals because of the corruption in their local governments. And they've said enough. They want to get rid of the corruption in their governments. Now, I think we need to have a march in Washington about this issue. I think we need to bring this issue out enough so that the public will say, well, what's this? What's going on? What's your take, Dane? I mean, do you think...
Under the power structure, keep the population pacified. They keep printing money. They keep pumping up the stock market so that people imagine they have a retirement account that's been created out of thin air in a global economy that's virtually a card house, smoke and mirrors. The whole industrialized society complex right now is a snake eating its own tail, period. It won't last much longer, and I mean not much longer at all. I would frankly be surprised if we hit the end of this year without a total disruption of the reality we've known. It doesn't mean everything comes to an end or that the world's over. It simply means that the reality we have known is completely unsustainable, has always been unsustainable. The power structure is doing everything it can to create the illusion of normalcy until the last moment, and that's what's pacified the American population. They can keep using their escalating home values as ATMs to consume longer. And when the overturning comes, Rob, it's going to happen with blinding speed. Climate engineering, again, accomplishing a number of things. It's sickening the population. Whether the population knows it or not is irrelevant. Whether the population admits it or not, that's irrelevant. It's happening. All of us are being loaded with heavy metals. It's affecting our cognitive ability, our ability to, it's toxifying soils, waters. They can manipulate populations through the weather cataclysms like what just happened in Texas. If they did not want it to rain like that in Texas, it would not have. So there's many, many agendas being carried out, but this power control does exist. For those that doubt it, you simply haven't done your research.
Well, I agree. I can't agree with you more. I have to say that this is it. This is a Christian program. We're trying to bring the truth. I try to bring the biblical truth and line it up with what the Word of God says. I will say that Proverbs 3:29 says, "Do not plot evil against your neighbor, because he trusts you." And you can see the evil that's being plotted with these special interest groups, with these government groups that they're out to really destroy the earth. It's just, that's all you can say. It makes no sense. It really makes no sense, Dane. And
well, you have to look at it through their lens. If we take an issue even like 9/11, which anybody who watches those buildings collapse, especially Building 7. Quite simply, the official story is as ridiculous as it could possibly be. And those that don't know there was a third building that collapsed should investigate that. 7 seconds, 50-story steel high-rise structure collapsed. But if you look at it,
and it was a free fall.
American citizens died 3,000.
Yes.
Through the eyes of those in power, they feel, whether it's whatever happened on 9/11 or the aerosol spraying in the, they feel they have the right to be God. They feel that if they need to cause an event like 9/11 or to spray in the skies to manipulate the weather, to carry out their own agenda, which they believe they have the right to do because they believe they are gods in some way. And in their mind, it's for the greater good because it serves their purposes. So you have to see it through their eyes, which is not sane. I agree with that. But
well, I know that they have population control. That's what they're trying to do, literally. And this is a bizarre fact, but they are trying to dwindle the population of the Earth. There's no other explanation that can be brought out of this. If you look at the facts, you look at what's going on globally, is that they are trying to reduce the global population. And it's bizarre. It's bizarre. And, Dane, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I just want to say that we need to stay in touch, and I'm definitely going to see if we can spearhead some type of a march right there in Washington. If we can bring people together, and bring groups together to say, look, enough. We know what you're doing, and we're not going to shrink back. There is an awakening in this country that we've had enough of the abuses of our government and the destruction of our planet. And Dane, I hope and want to see your hand in this. I know that you have other things that you're involved with, but I hope that you can help spearhead this move.
Well, my fight is, or my energies are solidly in this fight, and they'll stay that way. And I hope the American population puts aside its personal pursuit of pleasure to take a stand for the common good. That's not an option. It's an obligation we have to our children. So I hope that the population joins such an effort, Rob. It's going to take all of us.
Absolutely, Dane. Well, listen, I thank you for this time, and we're going to keep in touch on this issue. We're not going to let up on this issue. Whenever something important comes up, please contact us, and I'll be in touch with you to do another show on the climate engineering. And folks, this is the Daily Truth today. We are fighting to bring you the truth that you're not going to hear in the mainstream media. We bring guests like Dane Wigington to bring the truth and the facts of what's being done secretly and covertly against the American people and really against the world. So I thank you for watching and for tuning in. And my name is Rob Brown. Thanks again, and hope that you'll come back.